This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome in to another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Patriots defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 50-10 in a dominant performance. I mean, start to finish, this game never felt close. They did what they should. They handled their business, and they clinched a playoff spot. So the Patriots officially in the playoffs. Now it's just up to seeding, and the Dolphins are eliminated from the playoffs with their loss today. So all of a sudden, the Dolphins aren't really playing for anything this coming weekend, and the Patriots have a chance to lock up that 5 seed, or if the Jets somehow beat the Bills and the Pats win, we'd lock up the AFC East. So big game this week. Great to see a bounce back performance like this against a team that is inferior and a team you really should beat, and it's a great start to the year so far. So I'm here with my co-host Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
I do that every time. My mic always starts off muted. My bad. That's 2 times in a row. But no, it's going good. A 50 burger again, right? We talked about it where the Patriots, lost 2 in a row. They needed a game to get back on track. We kind of related it to the Jets game in week 7 where they go 54-10, whatever they beat the Jets by, and they use it and they go on a huge 7-game winning streak. I feel like this game is very similar where from start to finish, New England was the best team on the field. No doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, there were a couple big plays that Jacksonville hit. Trevor Lawrence got loose, scrambled for a big gain, and then he hits a guy downfield that, honestly, good catch for them. Good throw, good catch. Miles Bryant had pretty good coverage. They just couldn't get the ball out. And other than that, it was just a dominating game by New England on both sides of the ball. Yeah. Special teams, offense, defense, throwing the ball, or Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball to, guys that are double coverage, getting picks. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson dominating the backfield, the offensive line, setting the tone early. It was a game that it was, refreshing for Patriots fans to see, especially after these last 2 weeks where there were so many questions about the team.
Yeah, for sure. And Bill and Mac laughing in the fourth warmed my heart. Me as well. That was great to see. It's always good to see Bill smile. And I mean, I love the energy of this team. Just Mac, Kendrick Bourne, Damian Harris, all those guys on the sideline. You could see them all laughing with Bill and putting a smile on Bill's face. It's good to see. So it's fun to see what this team can do and the energy they bring when they have a good performance and they play like they know they can. And that's what they did today. Obviously, there's some plays here and there. There's some things that we'll touch on in the good, bad, injured segment. So overall, though, you can't complain too much about a 50-10 win. And one play, if they didn't get that little screen pass and they scored on it, they probably wouldn't have scored a touchdown. Probably would have held into a field goal. Patriots red zone defense has been really good this year. So I was really happy with the performance. Never felt close, like we said. It was just complete dominance from the start to finish. And if Mac Jones would have stayed in the whole game and they really would have put their foot on the gas, it probably would have been 60, 65 points, honestly, because they were rolling on offense. First punt of the day was late in the third quarter. Just touchdown on every single drive. And that's one of the biggest things that's good to take away from this, even though the Jaguars defense is not good. And I mean, they did force some turnovers in Josh Allen and hold the Bills to some points, but they obviously have some COVID and injuries and different stuff like that. But Jags aren't a great team. I'm not trying to say that they are, but it was just good to see this team perform and handle an opponent that they should handle, and they did it the right way. And just their efficiency in the red zone and scoring on every single drive that they were in the red zone, that's much better than we've seen in the past. And that's one of the biggest struggles this team has had all year. So that was good to see.
Yeah, Pat Scout IG. Once again, I think we missed on all of our hot takes. Cole didn't take the Miles Bryant interception this week. So
I was so mad as soon as I saw that. First week, I did not take Miles Bryant interception. He all of a sudden just gets an interception. It's like, come on, but I'll take it. It is what it is.
Yeah, and then the big man touchdown. I thought it was going to happen, man. I was like, we're up so much. Throw it in there. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if we get another opportunity. But no, like you were saying, the big thing that everyone on the team and everyone in Pats Nation has wanted to see is getting off to a hot start. You start the game, 11 plays, 70-yard drive, take off 7 minutes off of the clock. That's after Jacksonville goes 3 and out. And you're, off and running after that 5 straight possessions, scoring the football. You go up 34-3 in the or after halftime, and then you have your first punt, and then you can continue to drown them out. You get an interception, you score again, 1 play, 1 yard, because Kyle Duggar couldn't find his way into the end zone, so we just punched in with Ramondre. But no, it was great. It was everything that we thought it should have been, and there was no question that New England wasn't in control of this game at any point. There's always these games where everyone's going to say, oh, but it was the Jaguars. Well, you got to remember who lost to the Jaguars this year. It was the Bills. Okay. The Bills lost to the Jaguars. And yes, the Bills are a great team, but they still lost to them. You can either come out and you can play a close game against a horrible Jacksonville team, or you can blow them out of the water like this, get your confidence back, and put on a show for the fan base. And that's what New England did. And I was very happy with everything I saw.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, time of possession, Patriots 37 minutes, Jags 23. They dominated every aspect of this football game. And like you said, like the Bucs today with the Jets, they almost lost to the Jets. When you let these teams, these bad teams hang around, you play down to their level, it keeps them in the game. And at that point, it is the NFL. It's any given Sunday. One person makes a play and it changes the game, and you can lose to a team you really shouldn't. So it was good to see them keep their foot on the gas until this thing was definitely out of hand, and just fun to watch this game. I mean, you could see, I'd say from this game, you could see the talent that Trevor Lawrence has. You can also see where the struggles he's had with the interceptions and throws like that. A lot of the big throws, but a lot of the big plays they made were kind of 50-50 ball jump up that either it was into double coverage. Jalen Mills and Miles Bryant could have either intercepted it, or their offensive player made a play. And they made some plays, and you got to give credit where credit's due. They made some of those plays, but we also made the plays in general as well. 3 interceptions from Trevor Lawrence. Overall, 1 or 2 of those maybe not his fault because it hit a wide receiver's hand or could have been caught, but just great to see the defense take advantage of the opportunities. And there could have been another 1 or 2 that could have been picked. I think Jawan Bentley dropped one that hit him right in the hands earlier in that game. But I mean, seeing the defense be opportunistic, JC got a pick again. I thought he was going to get his 2 interceptions. Well, yeah, that was one of the hot takes. That one almost hit, but it was good to see this team dominate from start to finish in every aspect of this game, and really just control what they could control and clinch the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's kind of the one thing that early I kind of was having a problem with. When we did give them their second drive, they go down and they were about to score. We hold them to a field goal. I felt like we played a little too much zone. I wanted J.C. Jackson, Jalen Mills to get on this depleted receiving core and the tight ends that weren't out there because of COVID. I wanted to see us press him in man coverage, force Trevor Lawrence into some tight windows, make him throw the ball a little more accurately than what he did early in the game. And I feel like we gave him a little confidence early where he was throwing easy passes and letting his guys run. The first interception by Miles Bryant, that honestly, it could have been a better throw, but it goes off of his hands right into Miles Bryant's arms. That could have been an 8-yard gain right there. So you don't want to discredit him for that one, but it does go down as an interception. But I wanted to see New England get up, press them, kind of plummet them. And I think they did. The J.C. Jackson interceptions, great coverage. You see Trevor Lawrence doesn't put it in the right spot. J.C. Jackson goes down, makes a great catch. And then the other 2, the Kyle Duggar one where he just reads his eyes. And that's kind of the same with Jawan Bentley. He was reading his eyes too and just missed it. And Kyle Duggar might have had his second pick if Jawan Bentley doesn't get in the way of that. So, yeah, there was a lot of miscommunication and confusion on Trevor Lawrence's part. They don't have the athletes on the outside to beat this New England secondary. So I don't know what a lot of people expected, but it was great to see this defense kind of get back on track. And it would have been nice to have that, no touchdowns, hold them to 3 points, maybe 6 if they kick a field goal there and make it. But we'll take 10 points any day of the week.
For sure. And I want to touch on this question real quick. Do you think New England clinched division? So they did not clinch the division today. They clinched the playoffs. So the Patriots are in the playoffs this year, no matter what. It's just about seeding now. So for them to win the division, win the AFC East, they have to beat Miami next week, and then Buffalo has to lose to the Jets. So probably not going to happen. But I mean, Jets almost beat the Bucs, so you never know. If Josh Allen has a bad day, turns the ball over, and the Jets take advantage of opportunities, then maybe that'll happen, and that'd be great. That'd give us a lot easier matchup in the first round. But I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And nice to see the only bad play we had was the blocked point after. Yeah, there was a couple of special teams miscues there, missed extra point, and then bobbling the snap, and Jake Bailey running for his life and having nowhere to go with the ball. That was interesting. And then just honestly on defense, this is a little bit nitpicky, but overall, some of the big plays you'd like to see those eliminated. It is the Jaguars. You kind of know what they're going to do. Our run defense, when they wanted to run the ball, which I don't think this was a point of emphasis for the Patriots. I think they said, if you want to run the ball. You guys are down. It's just, when we get in the red zone, you're not going to score. So I'm not concerned necessarily about the run defense, but overall in coverage, like you were kind of talking about with some of those zone coverages and different stuff. They kind of took advantage of that in certain opportunities and took some shots, and some of them paid off. So it's risky playing football that way, but I would have liked to see a little bit better, a little bit tighter coverage, and maybe some more man coverage, like you said, and mix things up a little bit more. But that was the only part that I was a little bit down on from today's performance.
Yeah, you just get a team like this that's dealing with COVID, especially on the offensive line and, the pass catching into things with receivers, tight ends. You want to get up and press them and make Trevor Lawrence feel like he has to force balls into tighter windows than what he's comfortable doing. So that's the one thing I wanted to see, but you can't complain about it. It's just something I would have liked to have seen. But I had an interesting thing here. There is a way that New England gets the number 1 seed, and it takes a lot. But if Tennessee, Kansas City, and Buffalo all loses next week, and New England beats Miami,
and the Bengals,
New
right?
England,
Bengals have to lose too, I think, right?
Would they? Do we have? It depends on if we have the tiebreaker, because we'd have the same record as them, because we're both 10-6 right now. Yeah, so there is a chance that we could get the 1 seed, but you want to talk probability, it's probably less than a 1% chance right there, where it happens. But yes, we locked up a playoff spot. We're back already into the playoffs. 1-year drought. It's going to be great. Hopefully, Buffalo can lose to the Jets. I don't think they will, although the Jets did give Tampa a run for their money and kind of force Antonio Brown into retirement and whatever that fiasco was. But the Jets looked a lot better than what they have before. And, we'll see what they can do against Buffalo. Buffalo kind of struggled today against Atlanta early. Josh Allen, 3 interceptions. And for a minute there, I thought they were going to, have a closer game than what the final score ended up being. So we'll see. Anything can happen in the NFL. I don't think that you're going to get all 3 or 4 upsets possibly for the Patriots to get the 1 seed. But at worst case scenario, we're the 6 seed, because I don't think there's any way we fall back to the 7 seed with how the wild card picture's looking.
I don't think so either. The only team that can go above us from here is the Colts.
Yep. And
so
that would be if they win and we lose. Yeah.
Yeah. If they should beat Jacksonville, obviously, next week. It's just about, so we'll see what happens with Miami. But Cincinnati, is 10-6. We're 10-6. Both of us are 8-3 in the division. They play Cleveland and we play Miami. So, or in the conference, sorry. We're both 8-3. So I don't know what it goes to after conference, because we don't have head-to-head, obviously, against them. We didn't play them.
Yeah.
So my guess is maybe they'd have to lose to make sure that we got the 1 seed. So Cincinnati would have to lose to Cleveland, and then, like you said, Kansas City losing to Denver, Tennessee losing to Houston, and Buffalo losing to the Jets. It's a lot of unlikely scenarios, but main one that we should focus on is winning this game, and then hopefully the Bills choke against the Jets, and that would secure us at least the 4 seed. So that's kind of how the playoff picture's coming out right now. And currently the Colts are the 6 seed, Chargers are the 7 seed, and Chargers play Las Vegas. The winner of that game should be the 7 seed in the playoffs. So that's going to be a huge game next weekend. That one should be fun to watch.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll probably flex to Sunday night. They don't really have the game set, so that one should be Sunday night. But there's a couple questions I wanted to hit on here. Your opinion and my opinion. We're going to make these up into clips. We already talked about this before, but Boston Headline says, I don't think Mac Jones wins Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year after Jamar's performance today. What do you think about that?
I would completely understand if Jamar won the award. I also would completely understand if Mac won it. I think they're both playing at really high levels for their respective positions. I think Jamar has had some absolutely incredible performances. I mean, he just had 11 catches, 266 yards, and 3 touchdowns today. Like, that's insane. And in a huge win over the Chiefs. So that was huge. He also had last week 7 catches, 125 yards, no touchdowns. And then it's just the only thing that hurts Jamar's case is his inconsistency. He's kind of boom or bust. He's hit or miss on some of these games. He's also had a game with 1 catch on 4 targets for 3 yards, 39 yards, 32, 32, 50, 52. So he's had plenty of boom games. He's had like 4 or 500-yard plus games. I think 5 of them so far. But he's also had plenty where he hasn't put up the same numbers, and he hasn't been as consistent as Mac has been. Obviously, Mac has had a couple down games. So does every rookie. It's what happens. But I would just say the consistency of what Mac has done and the importance of the position, everything is on Mac's plate every single play. He's setting the table pre-snap, reading post snap, making the throws, making the decisions, handing the ball off, whatever. He is so involved in everything. And as a rookie, that is so hard to do. So that's why I would lean towards Mac. I'm obviously a little biased with being a Patriots fan, and but you can't deny that what both of them are doing is extremely, extremely impressive. They're both really talented players with really bright futures.
Yeah, I mean, what Jamar Chase did today, it's incredible. And what he's done all year, 1,400 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns. 13 touchdowns is only behind Cooper Kupp. He's second in the league in receiving touchdowns. He's third in the league in receiving yards behind Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson. But like Cole said, the inconsistency, what gets it for me, he had a span from week 8 to week 15. 32, 49, 32, 39, 52, 77, 3 receiving yards. I mean, that's 6 games right there in a row, 7 games in a row where, he wasn't really playing at that high level, where that's still good numbers for a rookie. But then when you compare him to Mac, that's right in Mac's 7-game winning streak right there. And then Mac has 2 inconsistent games. He comes back, 3 touchdowns today. I feel like the consistency there too. So I made a post on my Instagram with the odds a couple days ago. It was Mac Jones was a 500 favorite. Jamar Chase was plus 350 in the rookie of the year race. I think that's definitely gotten a lot closer now. I don't think that it's that far away from Mac Jones. Jamar Chase definitely closed the distance, but I still think it's up for grabs. I mean, both these teams are going to be in the playoffs, and playoffs don't really matter, but you're going to have one more game and see what they can do. And then, what do people value more? A rookie who took the Patriots to, probably 11 wins and back to the playoffs, or the Bengals who already had Joe Burrow and a bunch of other receivers and kind of comes onto the scene and starts tearing it up. But here's my other thing is, you saw Justin Jefferson do this last year. Like, you've seen receivers do this before recently. You don't see many quarterbacks doing what Mac Jones is doing, especially if he sets the rookie record for completion percentage.
Yeah, for sure. I do think this is a good point, though, and a good question. He's a great leader and wins games, but take a look at Herbert's numbers from last year compared to Max. Do you think that will play any role in terms of offensive rookie of the year? What do you think about that?
I think it's going to play a role, but you got to look at the other ones. Who was the runners up for the 2020 offensive rookie of the year?
Justin Jefferson and I don't know
what
who's after that. I know it was between Jefferson and Herbert for sure. The final.
So
2.
now you're coming down to the same, kind of argument. You got a receiver that's doing great, and you got a quarterback who is coming in and playing the hardest position in professional sports, and see what he's doing there. So I don't know. I think that maybe it does come in, and I think it shows what people want more. People are favoring a quarterback more. They're going to favor the quarterback. That's why you always see the MVP go to mostly quarterbacks. Same with the Heisman Trophy winner in college. You're seeing the quarterbacks win a lot of these big time awards because of how hard the position is and how hard it is to come in as a rookie and have that success. So I could see it either way too. I'm not going to be biased, and if Mac Jones doesn't get it, I'm not going to be. Well, I will be mad, but I think Jamar Chase has put up incredible numbers this year, and you kind of just have to tip your hat to him. It sucks that both these guys are having great rookie years, and you can only give it to one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they both deserve it, which it's clear to me. But I will say one thing: Herbert had a really good year last year. He's also got one of the best receivers in the league, and he had Hunter Henry at that point too. And they're not as heavily reliant on the run game as the Patriots are. And I think the Patriots rely on defense and running the clock, the run game. They want to run first before passing. Herbert and that Chargers offense kind of wants to sling the ball down the field more to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and last year was Hunter Henry, obviously. But both numbers are really good. Herbert has more yards by currently like 800, and he has more touchdowns by 10. Herbert's season last year was ridiculous. I mean, the numbers he put up was crazy. Mac is also performing really well. And you also got to think Herbert was the 6th pick overall in the draft. Mac was 15th. So it's like the expectations are a lot different. So when you see a guy midway through the draft that 4 other teams who drafted quarterbacks passed on performing this well in his first year in a new system with the Patriots. And I mean, last year we were 7-9. This year, with 1 game to go, we have 10 wins and already clinched a playoff berth. So I think the amount that this team and the season has flipped within 1 year, and just the consistent performance and all that's been on his plate and on his shoulders, he stepped right in week 1, just like Herbert did. Herbert stepped in early because Tyrod Taylor's lung got punctured by the trainer. But there's no doubt that Herbert's year last year was better than Max this year in terms of just impressive performance, but you can't deny how impressive Mac has been and been consistently throughout this year. He hasn't lost the team games. Maybe he hasn't won the team a lot of games, but as a rookie quarterbacks, if you're neutral, you don't lose the team games, you don't win the team games, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of one of your main jobs when you come in as a rookie quarterback is you don't want, and most rookie quarterbacks come into the situation where they have to, like, they're on a horrible team and they probably have to do more than what the offensive or head coach would want them to do. Mac Jones came into the situation where he didn't have to do that. He came in with a good running game. He came in with capable receivers. I wouldn't call them great receivers. I don't think anyone would, but they're capable receivers. A good tight end and the greatest coach and one of the greatest offensive minds that's been in the NFL. So I think that he stepped into a better situation, but the way that he's executed it has been phenomenal too. The way that he's taken it. And I think you could say this might be one of the hardest organizations to step in and play and win for in the National Football League because of all the expectations surrounding the Patriots organization, especially after the year that they had last year and people thinking that they're just going to be horrible for the next 20 years just because Tom Brady left.
You could see how much is on the quarterback's plate. I mean, Cam Newton's been in the NFL for 10 years, and he came in year one, had a shortened off season, obviously, but he still, by the end of the season and going into the next preseason, he still didn't know the playbook from like the back of his hand. He still didn't understand it start to finish. He still didn't fully understand pre and post snap reads and what to do with this offense. And it's just so impressive how much information Mac has been presented with this year and how good he's been able to handle it. I mean, week one, he faced the Miami Dolphins defense, one of the best in the league, who spins the dial, creates different pressures and has a lot of different defensive looks. And he played really solid. I mean, he had his rookie mistake, one of his first plays, he kind of threw it backwards to Jonnu. But after that, I mean, he made a lot of really, really good throws, made some nice throws to Aguilar, read coverages really well. He's been really impressive. And it's tough to say which guy you'd give the award to. They're both just having such impressive years, and they really are both going to be really, really, really good.
For sure. The other question I wanted to hit on, Boston headline, a couple other people set it up in the top two. Maurice, Wilkerson over Harry, no debate. Is that too early? Now, Wilkerson did have a great game here, 4 for 42, 2 touchdowns, and yes, his production probably was a lot more than what N'Keal Harry would have been, but is it still too early to have Wilkerson over Harry?
I'd say Wilkerson just secured himself a spot on the 53. I wouldn't say that you could necessarily immediately say, oh, N'Keal, he's better than N'Keal Harry for sure. It's one game. He did only have 2 catches. His day was extremely impressive. I thought Wilkerson was really good. He almost had that third touchdown in the end zone. And that's the only thing with him is some of those drops, those over the shoulder throws. We saw it preseason game number 1 against Washington. Mac threw him a dime and he dropped that one in the end zone. But Wilkerson certainly was really impressive today. I just like to see him do it against a little bit better competition. If he does the same thing next week and has 1 touchdown, or even if he has a few catches for 40 yards or 30 yards, whatever, I think you can probably say you should be starting him over N'Keal. Just N'Keal hasn't done anything. He's been impressive in run blocking, but that's certainly not enough for a first round pick at this point. And Wilkerson, you got to give the kid a shot. I mean, he got an opportunity today. 4 catches, sorry, not 2 catches, 4 catches, 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he already has more touchdowns, I think, than N'Keal Harry this year. And he certainly had a good day today. I like what I saw from Wilkerson a lot.
I think why Patriots fans are saying this is because they've seen potential more out of Christian Wilkerson. You never saw a game like this out of N'Keal Harry. So they're saying, oh, Christian Wilkerson's been a practice squad guy. He gets called up. He has 2 touchdowns. And I agree with you. I think you need to see more, and you'd like to see him be a little more consistent with his hands. And that's why Patriots fans bash N'Keal Harry, is he's not very consistent catching the ball. So I agree. I think this was a very exciting game. And I think this is a perfect example of Patriots, the Patriot way, where healthy scratch for N'Keal Harry. They say, okay, Wilkerson, this is your time. He took full advantage of it. He did everything they were asked for, except outside of that, the drops, but comes in 2 touchdowns, plays good, 4 catches. Looked like he was blocking pretty hard on the outside too, which is obviously I'm going to give N'Keal Harry the advantage, but at some point you got to get a guy that can catch the ball too. So I agree. I thought that Wilkerson played good. I still think it's too early, but I would like to see more of him. And people have been giving him the Walmart Devontae Adams comparisons. I'm fine with that because the Patriots seem to go thrift shopping a lot for their receivers.
For sure. I mean, if there was a gun to my head right now, I had to pick one, I would pick Wilkerson for who I think has more potential to be good throughout the in this Patriot system throughout the rest of the year or throughout, I mean, I guess next year you could say, but I try to be a little bit patient because it's the Jaguars. I mean, their defense is really not good. Their secondary was kind of abused today, and Patriots really had no trouble at all moving the football. And Matt could have probably thrown it to a few different guys a few different times, and he certainly had a good day. It was good to see him coming up off the practice squad and making the best of his opportunities. But it's also N'Keal's been in here for a couple of years. He is a factor in the run game, and once in a while you can throw him a 50-50 ball and he comes down with it. He also sometimes drops it and tips it up for an interception. So it pretty much anything is going to be better than the production or lack of production that N'Keal Harry's had. But I'd like to see it against maybe a better opponent just to kind of clarify what we just saw and say, okay, this is for real. This isn't just the Jacksonville Jaguar treatment or whatever.
Yeah, and that's really what has people stick around in the NFL is consistency. Like there's a lot of guys that come out of nowhere and have a good game like this, but can you do it continually? Can you gain Mac Jones's trust like Jacoby Myers gained? Like you've seen Julian Edelman and Wes Welker come in and gain Tom Brady's trust. Like, can you gain Mac Jones's trust and can you find a way in this offense? Because we all know New England doesn't care who's out there. They don't care if you're a first round, third round, seventh round, undrafted dude. If you can be Mr. Reliable and catch the ball and do what they ask you to, they're going to put you out there. And so he's definitely going to get his shot. I agree with you. I think he's on the roster, 53 man, at least for the next game and going into the playoffs. And we'll see how they deal with him next year, going into camp and stuff. But the potential, it definitely excited Patriots fans today, and it excited me.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you there. I would like to see him do it a little more consistently, but I think he definitely earned the opportunity to prove that. You know what I mean? And one thing that was really cool was Jacoby Myers just said in his last, he had an interview with Van Noy, which was recorded probably 3-4 weeks ago, but he just posted it recently. Jacoby said, I signed with the Patriots because they drafted a first-round receiver, and I wanted to prove to the team that I could compete and play at the same level or better than a first-round talent. So, I mean, I think he for sure did that. Jacoby is probably our most productive receiver right now. He's Mr. Reliable. Anytime the ball is coming out of Mac's hands, it's usually going to Jacoby, especially on third down. So he's been really, really great. And that's what the Patriots is. We don't care. You're a first round pick. You're undrafted, whatever you are. If you're playing better and you're a harder worker and doing everything right, you're going to get the spot and you're going to get the playing time and you're going to get the opportunities. And that's what we saw Wilkerson have today with N'Keal Harry, a healthy scratch. He got his opportunities and he certainly made the most of them.
Yeah, for sure. A little Patriots related right here. He asked, not Patriots related, I guess it has to do with former Patriots. What's your take on AB quitting today? Temper tantrum, whatever that was.
Wild.
Yeah. I'll just comment quickly. I feel bad for him. Now, he has self-inflicted everything that's come upon him. Everything that everyone clowns on him for has been his fault, but I feel bad for him. At this point, I really do think that there's something wrong with him. He needs to get checked out, CTE or something. Like it's scary, the point he's getting to, and I honestly feel bad for him, and I think Tom Brady said it great. Tom Brady stuck his neck out for him in New England, going to Tampa, and he wanted him there, and then this happens, and obviously, I think his NFL career is done. I don't know who gives him another chance, but Tom Brady said it perfectly. He's like, we don't know what's going on in this guy's life. And it's so easy to clown on these professional athletes, but CTE is real and it's scary. Go ask Mean Joe Green. Go ask these guys that have these families that have had firsthand experiences of people committing suicide and, hallucinating and seeing these things. Like whatever he's experiencing is obviously it's bad. And if he doesn't have CTE or he's just normal, then he's the wackest human being in the world. And I really don't think that that's a possibility, but what's happening is sad because he could have been a very, very, very good receiver. And he was, but he just couldn't, keep his off the field issues together.
Yeah, for sure. It is sad. I don't know. You don't want anything to be wrong with anybody, but I mean, that's the only reasonable explanation is that something's going on in his head or CTE or something. I mean, it's honestly just leaves me speechless. I've never seen anything like that in my life in the NFL. It's pretty crazy. And the thing is, he did that. He left the game. He went home or wherever. I don't know where he went. He went somewhere and he dropped his latest rap song. So it's like, I mean, what is the guy's intentions? Is he okay? I'm done with football. I'm going to quit, draw this attention, all this media, and then I'm going to drop this song, and everybody's going to go click it, watch it. I'm going to make money. Like, is that what the game plan is with the? You know what I mean? It's just It makes no sense. He was also like 8 catches, a touchdown, and like 60 yards away from $1 million total in incentive. So it's like, what? I mean, stick out the game, play next game. What if you're gonna? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. And the only logical explanation is CTE or something. Something's going on with this guy because, I mean, it's tough though. He was the best receiver in the league for a few years at least, and he's a cerebral talent, and it's tough to see guys go down the drain like this and kind of wash their careers when they have so much talent. It's tough to see, and you hate to see if it's due to the game, if it's due to getting hit in the head and injuries and all that stuff. But it's honestly a really unfortunate and kind of a sad situation that what he's going through right now and kind of how this situation ended up playing out.
Yeah. AB Hall of Fame. If Julian Edelman can't get in the Hall of Fame, I don't think Antonio Brown deserves to get in the Hall of Fame. And yes, they probably aren't the same talent wise, but the numbers that Julian Edelman put up are going to far succeed Antonio Brown's, especially in the playoffs. So I don't think he does, especially with the shenanigans he's putting up to the whole NFL. So I wonder if AB was upset about being on snap count. That would possibly lead to him missing the opportunity to earn those incentives. Wonder if that was part of it. I mean, obviously, when you're getting $1 million bonus, I think that it's, you're going to want to get those incentives. But he had a whole nother game, like with the way he was playing and Chris Godwin out and other guys, Mike Evans and Gronk demand as much attention as he does, and Brady loves throwing him the ball. I feel like he would have gotten those incentives if he would have just stuck it out and played it, but who knows?
And the thing that doesn't make sense to me is Bruce Arians apparently said that he told Antonio Brown to go into the game twice and he refused. So it's like, that's the only part. Like, I agree with Gabe. That's what I thought like originally was, maybe he wasn't getting the snaps. Maybe they didn't want him to hit the incentive, so they wouldn't have to pay him that because they're tight on cap. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. But then Bruce Arians said, hey, I told Antonio Brown to go in the game twice. He said no. I said, get off the field. Like, get off. And that's when he freaked out and ended up leaving and whatever. But it's just, I mean, it's crazy. It just makes no sense. I don't know. It's a tough situation. You hate to see a guy with that much talent just throw his career away like this because he truly is a really talented player and he had so much potential. And what he did in Pittsburgh, his early career and all that stuff he was putting up great numbers and he was having some really incredible seasons.
Yes, for sure. Well, let's one more question here. This is one that we talked about, but possibly Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater, JC's last possible game at Gillette, depending on retirement and contract things. Just what are your thoughts on those guys? Who's most likely that you think is going to come back to New England next year?
I'd say JC. I honestly really don't feel great about any of them. I'd say JC maybe just because we might franchise tag him.
Yeah.
I put out the numbers in my story last week or whatever about what it would be. I can't remember. Somewhere around 18 million for the year. So maybe we franchise tag JC. I don't feel great about jmac or Slater. I feel like last year they really contemplated retirement. Slater said he did. And my hope is that they both say, okay, if we don't win a Super Bowl this year, we got a great chance next year. Second year of Mac Jones. He's going to be even better, all that good stuff. And I hope they both come back and say, hey, one last hurrah and try it out. And maybe we get a safety in the draft that can train behind McCourty. And we got some special teams players to help out with the Slater replacement. I mean, we got Bethel, Cody Davis, all those guys. So our special teams is good, but I'm just more concerned about the leadership of those two guys. If they leave this year, you hate to see it. They're two of the most important players in the past decade for this franchise. Slater is the best leader that this organization has had in a long, long time. I mean, you see him in the post game, all the videos after the game and all that stuff, giving these speeches to the team. And I just think he's a really great locker room guy and person in general. And he's a great role model for players and how you should act in an organization. So Slater's been tremendous. I really hope it's not his last year. It's going to be sad to see him and DMAC go. They're both Patriots for life. And I really respect that and appreciate it. And it just makes you an even bigger fan of those guys because of what they've done, and they've done it the right way and the impact they've had on and off the field.
Yeah, and that's the problem is these guys, I feel like what's going to hurt the most if McCourty and Slater are done with the Patriots is their leadership. The veteran locker room presence on field, everyone respects them. They've been in the organization and the system so long. They're coaches on the field for these young guys. That's what scares me. Yeah, you're going to be able to get younger than McCourty and Slater, and that's probably what they're looking to do. The Patriots are, whether you move Duggar or Phillips or Sean Wade or someone back to the free safety, whether you draft one in early or, second, third round, it's all up in air when these guys leave. But the leadership roles and the presence of them on the field for Pats Nation and what they mean, that they embody everything about the Patriots. The Patriot way, that's you think of the Patriot way, you think of Julian Edelman, Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater, maybe Rob Ninkovich. You want to throw in some of those guys that never had it easy, but have just persevered in the NFL and made great careers out of it. And you think those are two of, the staples in our organization during the second half of our dynasty, the last 3 Super Bowls. So it's going to suck to see one of them go or both of them go. And I agree. I think that JC Jackson's the most likely to return just because of the possibility of franchise tagging him, getting him for another year and exploring whether you extend him or trade him and get something out of him. But yeah, if it is the final goodbye for McCourty and Slater, I think all Patriots fans can say how appreciative they were for the time they've spent here and how much they're going to miss them.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully it's not. I think the Patriots will certainly let them go out on their own terms. I think if they retire, it's going to be because they want to retire, not because the Patriots want them to. I think they would keep jmac and Slater around as long as possible. I think those are 2 guys that, especially Slater. I mean, I don't think you'll ever see Bill Belichick tell Slater he's not welcome in the Patriots locker room. That's his probably one of his favorite players ever. You know what I mean? Slater embodies what Belichick loves about football, and I hope they both go out on their own terms, and I think they will. And I just hope it's not this year. I hope they give it one more year because they both have plenty left in the tank. I think at this point it's just about whether they want to spend the time, keep rehabbing their bodies. They're getting a little bit older, things hurting a little bit longer, and at this point, spending time with their families. I think Slater's expecting another baby on the way, and DMAC has 1 or 2, I think, as well. So I think that's kind of what it's gonna be what it's about. But kind of touching on that same topic, let's touch on maybe a possible replacement for that safety position, Adrian Phillips. The Patriots agreed to a 3-year extension with Adrian Phillips worth $12.75 million. So what's your initial thoughts on this signing?
This is probably going to be one of my favorite signings in the offseason with the limited amount of cap we have, because I don't think we go get a receiver. I think that you keep this guy who's been an absolute steal since we signed him last year or 2 years ago from the Chargers. He can play special teams. He's been awesome in the run in the pass game. He's a great leader on the field. I think that now he's one of the more veteran guys that's played on this defense in the secondary, with Jalen Mills being new, some of these other guys, and Kyle Duggar being a rookie just like him. Like, he's experienced in the NFL, maybe not in the Patriots organization, but in the NFL at least. And I think that this is going to be a steal looking back on it in 3 years. If he keeps playing the way he's been playing in New England, he fits that Patrick Chung role very well. And it gives us the ability, whether we want to move him to free safety or Duggar or someone else, he just brings a lot of versatility to this defense. And I think this is a very team friendly contract that I love.
I do as well. I mean, this signing is great. I mean, $4.25 million annually for a guy who has been such an underrated play. Like, I can't state this enough, how underrated Adrian Phillips is as a safety. What he did last year, he exceeded my expectations by tenfolds last year. I mean, I did not expect him to be as good as he was based on the deal he had and some film we've seen in the past. I guess he fits in here so well, and he's such a Swiss Army knife for this defense. Belichick spoke so highly of him a few weeks ago when he got asked about Adrian Phillips, and he just does everything right, and he does everything the Patriots want him to do. And he's a great locker room guy. I'm a huge fan of Adrian Phillips and everything he has done here so far. And I agree, he is one of the most underrated Patriots that's on the team right now. He's a really talented player, and getting him for that value, I think, is great. He can play free safety sometimes if needed. He can play strong safety in the box. He can cover tight ends. He can do anything. He even played linebacker last year for us when we had no linebackers and couldn't stop the run and all this different stuff. He didn't complain. He didn't care. And he's a guy who's going to do his job, whatever he's asked to do, and do it at 110%.
Yeah, I love this signing. I think this is a very Patriot-like signing where he brought in for very cheap on the first contract, and we extend him, still get a very friendly contract. And he's been playing some of his best football here. So he wants to stay in New England and continue it, and he sees the potential. So I agree. Most underrated Patriot on the roster, not even close. Yeah. He, for the value that we have him at and the expectations that we had, he's been very, very good since he stepped on the field last year with a depleted defense. And then this year getting a lot of guys back. He's been a staple for him.
And I agree with Gabe here as well. Re-signing David Andrews, we talked about that a little bit in the offseason, but that was such a good value deal. And that was kind of because we signed Ted Karras and he kind of was leaning towards going to Miami and he came back. And I think that's another guy who's a great veteran leader and a good guy to have under with Mac under center and all that stuff. So David Andrews was a great value signing. I think this one is maybe just as good of a value signing. They both, I think, are great deals for the team, especially. So two great players. It's great to see. I was surprised. You don't necessarily usually see guys getting signed midseason with the Patriots. Not too often, at least. I guess it is later in the year, but it was good to see Adrian Phillips. He certainly deserves a contract. He was going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. So getting him locked up for another 3 years is going to be great. He said when he first got here, he was expecting Brady was going to be here, playoffs, all that stuff. Then they had a down year with Cam, all that stuff, and now they're right back in the playoff mix. So hopefully Adrian Phillips can be part of a Super Bowl team here in the new generation.
Yeah, Boston headline. I think Duggar is one of the most underrated players on this team too. Yeah, I think that what our safety core was with McCourty and Chung, and now kind of transitioning whether McCourty leaves and it's Phillips and Duggar, or you move Mills or Wade or someone like, you have very, very good backups right here that have been in the system that I feel comfortable with. And it will take them a minute to get up to McCourty's level, but I think that they've learned from McCourty. They've taken in a lot and stuff. So I agree. The safety position with the youth and the versatility that we have there with both Duggar and Phillips, very exciting for what they can do in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Duggar's super underrated as well. We just, that safety position. I mean, actually all of them, like you said, I mean, Duggar, Phillips, and McCourty as well, all underrated. McCourty is one of the best safeties in the league year in and year out, and he doesn't get enough credit for what he does just because he doesn't have a ton of interceptions, a ton of tackles necessarily. He's always in the right place, always making the right plays, and once in a while he makes a mistake, but overall jmac is one of the top safeties in the league at that position, one of the top free safeties, and he does everything right, and his impact in the locker room as well as on the field is, I mean, unmatched. You can't replicate what he's done for this organization and this team. So I think all of our safeties honestly are underrated. This is a good question. Is jmac going to be active for Miami next season, or is his season done? Haven't kept tabs on him. So I'm not sure is he on a deal for next year as well? I know he's done for this year. He's on season ending IR. So I'm not positive about what his contract is for next year. I thought he was only on a 1-year deal with Miami. Did you pull that up?
Let's see. He's on a 1-year, $1.2 million deal, so he will be a free agent.
Okay, yeah. So jmac is done for the year. He's on season-ending IR with Miami. That's one thing. Let's see. How do you feel Judon did this year? I mean, we've touched on this a little bit, but Judon's been a beast. He's been a big impact of this defense all year. Obviously, the past few games has been a little bit slower for him. He hasn't made as much of an impact, but he obviously wasn't on the field much today, and they didn't really need him. I think he's going to be fine. Good to go in the playoffs. Hopefully he has a good bounce back week next week and gets things rolling into the playoffs. But Judon's been a stud.
For sure. Thoughts on what we would do with Jawan Williams this offseason, trade him possibly? I think it depends on what you address in the draft and if you sign someone in free agency, a back end corner. I wouldn't mind having him on the team to continue to develop, but he's not a top 3 or 4 corner. Like you're going to have, if McCourty or if JC comes back, if Mills comes back, obviously Jonathan Jones will be back. If maybe you find a younger guy in the draft that you like more than Jawan Williams, then you can trade him, get rid of him. But I think that he's good to have back there because he's been in the system. He's shown flashes, not consistent flashes, but he's shown flashes where he can at least play, and maybe something clicks, 3rd, 4th year in the league. So it's always good to have guys in the back end of the cornerback group because we got pretty thin this year and it got pretty scary at times.
Yeah, for sure. Jawan Williams just hasn't done a lot this year necessarily, and he certainly hasn't lived up to that where he was drafted. But it's also good to have some depth there, and especially if JC's gone, like you mentioned, it's good to have some players that can do different things. And I mean, he's kind of a big corner. He can maybe play as a safety sometimes, guarding tight ends and all that stuff. But I hope we draft a corner. I hope we get a corner in the draft and maybe sign JC back, or maybe get a corner in the offseason. Because I mean, I don't really see him being a guy who can start consistently on this team. This is a good question. What is a move you want to make in the offseason that would really improve the team?
I don't know if this necessarily it would be considered a move, but for me, it's staying in house and re-signing JC Jackson. Pay the man, give him the money. We didn't re-sign Stephon Gilmore last year. You found this guy as an undrafted free agent. Keep him in here. Don't let him go. Keep him in there. Build around him. Draft a younger guy later in the draft, or sign someone. Like I just mentioned, you still have Jalen Mills getting better. Jonathan Jones will be back from IR. I think you got to stay in house as much as you can and use as much money to keep this core together, and then continue to build younger pieces, maybe at key positions like linebacker, safety, maybe get another receiver in the draft early. But I think that for me, the number one thing for me is to re-sign JC Jackson. And if that's a franchise tag, I guess I get it, because that at least gives us one more year. But I want JC Jackson as a Patriot in 2022.
I think that should be one of the top on the priority list for sure. I mean, getting JC back, if we don't re-sign JC, our cornerback position is going to be looking thin. It's going to be looking scary. So that's not what you want to see. So I would agree with you. I'd say JC Jackson. That obviously, we talked about this a little bit a couple episodes ago. My dream would be Chris Godwin, but that's just not going to happen. I think he'd make this offense even better, and he's a perfect fit for what the Patriots want to do. So Chris Godwin would be huge. I just don't see it happening, especially with the cap space that we're going to have. It's not really realistic. So another thing is maybe drafting a corner, getting a left tackle / re-signing Trent Brown, moving him there, having Onwenu at right tackle maybe. Isaiah Wynn can't be a long-term left tackle here. He's too inconsistent. He doesn't make enough plays. I mean, he tackled Ramondre Stevenson last game. When you're helping out the defense as an offensive tackle, that's not good. So I'd say getting a true, more talented offensive tackle who's more consistent would be a huge impact for this team. I think we're good at running back. I think we're good at tight end, obviously. I think another thing is getting maybe a more versatile linebacker in the middle of the field that can play better in pass coverage, but also play the run decent. I think we need more speed at the linebacker position. We got Jawan Bentley and Dante Hightower as our two middle linebackers right now, and that's not enough. Also, Jamie Collins, I think he's on a 1-year deal here, right? So yeah, that's one thing. We're going to be losing some speed there as well. Maybe it's re-signing Jamie Collins and grabbing another guy in the draft who's a little bit faster. And Cam McGrone maybe is an answer. Was our draft pick in the 5th round this past season. So we'll see how he turns out. But I think speed at the linebacker position, a left tackle, and another corner on top of re-signing JC would be huge.
Yeah, and you hit on it in the draft. Joey asked, might it be too early? But are they going defense 1st round in the draft? I think that this depends on how the draft board is. Like I see multiple positions. You said it, getting younger at linebacker. If Nakobe Dean or Devin Lloyd fall for us, I would love that right there at 20. Those are two athletic, big linebackers that can play sideline to sideline. They can cover, they can rush the passer. I just did a post on Devin Lloyd when he played in the Rose Bowl with some of his stats. He's the 3rd highest graded linebacker in college football on PFF this year. He's the 4th highest graded linebacker in coverage. Like, he does both effectively. He has 8 sacks on the year, 4 interceptions, 2 of them returned for a touchdown. Nakobe Dean, won the Butkus Award for the best backer in college football. I see a couple comments here. Andrew Booth, he's a long corner. Trent McDuffie out of Washington. Ahmad Gardner, someone out of Cincinnati. There's a lot of ways I see New England going in this draft, and it really just depends on how this draft board falls. We all know Bill's probably going to trade down before he trades up. You're going to have to wait until someone falls to you, and maybe you have to trade up in the 2nd to go get someone like Barmore. I think Maurice hit it here with John Menchie tearing his ACL. If he falls into the 2nd round, that could be someone that New England trades up and gets, because he has chemistry with Mac. He's been explosive. He's coming out of Alabama. That's a proven winner. We know the history they've had pouring out receivers the last 2 years. So I think that there's going to be a lot of possibilities, but the thing is Bill is not going to rush. He's going to play the board. He's going to get great value out of these guys, and he's going to take the best available at what position he finds possible. And I think that there's multiple. If JC Jackson doesn't resign, maybe corner's top priority. If he does, then you look at getting younger at linebacker because of Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower, getting a little bit more athletic and young there. I obviously think that we could use another pass catcher, but I don't think that you go the route of signing one in free agency that's going to demand a lot of money, because I'd rather have that money going to JC Jackson. So yes, there's a lot of different ways in the draft, and we'll get into more of this during the offseason once we're done with the playoffs and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of needs for this team that takes us to that next level as Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, and that's what's tough is with the cap space that we have. I'm sure there's going to be some messing around with the cap and changing things up a little bit, maybe restructuring contracts and however the Patriots decide to create some cap space. But that's what I'm concerned about, is that if we don't re-sign JC Jackson, or if we do re-sign him, he's going to take up, 90% of our free cap space that we have right now. And we also have Devin McCourty, Hightower, both as free agents, along with a few other guys, Trent Brown. So there's plenty of money right there that we need to figure out what we want to do. So I think it's going to be really important to have a good draft and be efficient with who you sign. And I think that's something that Bill does really well, is finding good value signings to fill a role, fill a position of need. I think that's something that he really excels at. So I think maybe signing some low key signings in free agency that fit some positions, and then making some hopefully good draft choices, drafting a corner, maybe a wide receiver, like you said, Mechie, if he falls into the second round or something like that in that area. I think there's a lot of really good options for this team that would take it to the next level. And I'm excited to see where he goes with it. That's what's so exciting about draft season and the off season in general is seeing how the GM and seeing how your franchise picks these certain pieces to add to the puzzle and what they think is going to add enough to take this team to a Super Bowl. So there's a lot of different options for this team, and I think they could go a bunch of different ways to stay on the right path to winning a Super Bowl in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and when you look at our free agents that are coming up, you hit on it. Devin McCourty, who knows? Trent Brown, I'd love to re-sign him. Hightower, who knows? Depending on who we fill him with. JC Jackson's number one. Ted Karras only signed on a 1-year deal. He's been starting for us now. I think that, Michael Winu, someone can replace him, but still, if you lose him and Isaiah Wynn, you're down a starter. Who are you going to put in there? Slater, James White, and Brandon Bolden are both going to be free agents. They're both, upwards of 30 years old. Nick Folk, he's going to be a free agent. Jamie Collins, Jakob Johnson, Jawan Bentley, Jacoby Myers, Gunner. Like, these are all guys who are going to demand probably little bits of money compared to the whole thing of, NFL free agency. But these are key pieces. If you lose Jacoby, and I don't think that they do, but you're looking at guys and you got to have free space for this. So it's going to be interesting to see how New England maneuvers this and gets around it and continues to keep their guys and get better at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. And a couple questions here we'll hit on real quick. Could you see Gilmore coming back on a more reasonable deal if JC isn't re-signed or can't be? He's seen the other side of the fence, maybe more easily persuaded to come back. I don't think so. Based on the comments he made, he didn't like how the Patriots handled his injury. And he wanted to leave. Okay, there you go. You're going to Carolina. How do you like it there now? You're home. How's that? How's it feel to be under 500? Is that what you wanted? Because you could have been on a playoff team this year. And so he made his decision. I don't think he's coming back. And I don't really care, to be honest, at this point. Gilmore's gone. He wanted to be back, and he wanted to not talk highly of the Patriots organization right after he left. So is what it is. I don't think he's going to be coming back, and I don't think we really need him.
Yeah, JC Jackson for me is the guy that's going to take his place. I'd rather just sign him, and if we lose him, that sucks, and we'll have to find someone else. But I wouldn't want to. I mean, obviously, if he comes back, we'd welcome him, but I think that would kind of be I don't want to call it a bad signing, but he's upwards of 30. Who knows how long we get him for? What's his prime? He's been hurt a lot as of late, and his attitude seemed bad coming out. So why would he have a good one coming back in unless this is just his only option? And at that point, he's probably not making enough money to really give a crap. So yeah, I don't know. But Roondog, do you guys know what the playoff matchups look like as of now? Yes, we do. So right now, Kansas City's sitting at the 1 seed in the bye. Tennessee is the 2, right? Tennessee's the 2 playing 7, which is, he's going to share a screen right here. Yep. So Tennessee is the 2 seed playing the Chargers. Or no, Tennessee moved to the 1 spot because Kansas City lost. Yes, That's right. So Tennessee has the bye. Kansas City and the Chargers. Now the Chargers and the Raiders play next week. Win and you're in, pretty much. And then the Bengals and the Colts playing right now, and then us at Buffalo. So the wild card's still set to be there. Indianapolis could fall out depending on if they lose to Jacksonville, which I don't think that they're going to. But really only the top 5 teams in the AFC have clinched.
Yeah, this is the current matchups, and it's going to be a big week next week. If we end up losing to Miami, we could drop to the 6th seed, and that would line us up to play the Bengals if they beat Cleveland. And assuming Kansas City and Tennessee wins, which they both should. Looks like Tennessee's in line to take the 1 seed. Kansas City 2 seed. Cincinnati should take the 3. Buffalo 4. Either we're 5 or 6, or Indianapolis, one of those two, and then I'd say maybe the Chargers if they would clinch that 7 seed. So that's kind of what it's looking like now. Titans have home field advantage. It's going to look like and the bye for the entire playoffs. That's not good. Not a good matchup for us. So hopefully we win round 1 and upset either the Bills or the Bengals, whoever we end up playing, and then hopefully a team below us, maybe the Colts has an upset, and then so they would play the Titans, the 1 seed. That'd be better, and maybe they can knock them off, and then we play the Colts. That'd be good because the Titans is not a great matchup for us. But sadly, I think too much money between our current pass catchers and to add another big. Yeah, I agree. Draft is the way to go if we're gonna get another offensive weapon, because we have too much money invested in that position. I think it's way more likely that we draft a receiver in the first 3 rounds than sign a big one in free agency. Like we talked about a little bit last episode. Maybe we have a small signing that adds a little bit of value and fills some of the depth that we need there. And maybe N'Keal Harry goes and Wilkerson steps up, but Gunner hasn't stepped up necessarily as a pass catcher, so he's not really filling that role of good depth on the offense. So maybe off-season signing, a small signing, and then in the draft, maybe even later in the draft, and see how some of those later receivers like Trey Nixon and Wilkerson continue to develop.
Yes. Well, let's get into our good, bad, and the injured. We're already an hour in because we've had so many great questions. Thank you guys for that. Well, let's get into our good, bad, and our injured, and we'll try to keep this a little bit short, shorter than what we would do. But do you have one first for your good?
I mean, it's kind of obvious based on the performance today, but I'm going to go with Mac Jones. I thought he had a really good day. He was really efficient, accurate, made a lot of really good throws, good decisions, and some of the balls that he threw, like his completion percentage was almost 74%, and he still had a couple drops, like Brandon Bolden, that one hit him right in the hands. And so I thought he had a really good day, really good performance, took care of the ball and made all the throws he was supposed to make and more. I mean, that one to Wilkerson in the end zone, he could have had 4 touchdowns, 260, 270 yards, and he probably should have been 24, 25 for 30 with 4 touchdowns. So I thought he had a really good day.
Yeah, great day, just like we expected him to do against a bad Jaguars defense. 22 for 30, 227, 3 touchdowns. Didn't get sacked once. That's good to see. But I'm going to give mine to Ramondre Stevenson. Not active last week. Damien Harris scores the first 2 early ones and then goes out with an injury. Ramondre ends up getting 19 for 107, 2 touchdowns. The thing I love about Ramondre is you see a mix of quickness, acceleration, ability to make guys miss, and power. Like he has the whole package. He'll truck you one time and then he'll make you miss in tight space the next time. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from Ramondre. I know a lot of Patriots fans were concerned when we got rid of Sony just because of the lack of depth there, but this is turning into one of the most potent 1-2 running backs in the league with him, Damien Harris, and the offensive line.
Yeah, if they can both stay healthy, that's a great 1-2 punch right there. And the fact that he can be versatile and be a good pass catcher out of the backfield keeps defenses on their toes. So I think that's one of the best things about him is his ability to do multiple different things, play well in the run game, and then also catch a screen pass and take it 30 yards to the house or whatever. So I think Ramondre has been really promising so far, and I'm really excited to see how he continues to develop. My next guy I'd say was Mr. Reliable, Jacoby Myers. On third down, whenever they need him, he's always there. He's always open, runs some really great routes, and he's able to find the soft spot in the zone really easily. So him having 8 catches, 73 yards, and 1 touchdown today, he had a great game.
Yeah, I mean, love Jacoby Myers getting another touchdown. That was great to see, and caught all 8 of his targets. Just like you said, constantly on third down, Mac Jones is looking for him, which is how it should be. So I'm going to go with the other receiver, Christian Wilkerson, 2 touchdowns, steps in off the 53, takes full advantage of everything that he was given to him. And, honestly, ran a pretty good route on the first touchdown, gets away from, creates separation, run in the back line, and then gets his feet down and makes a good catch. And outside of that one drop, he played a pretty dang good game for a practice squad guy coming up. And like you said, I think he secured a 53-man roster spot.
I agree. I think another guy that we need to just mention briefly, but I wouldn't necessarily put him on the good list because his good game came from mostly one play, but Kendrick Bourne, he had a couple nice plays later in the game. I wouldn't put him on the good list quite yet, I'd say, just because overall throughout he didn't really contribute to the game until it was over, is what I'd say. But stats wise, 5 catches, 76 yards, average of 15.2 yards per catch. And he also had 2 rushes for 17 yards. I like how he's getting involved in the passing and the running game. KB's kind of been consistent there, but I'll go with, for the good, I'll go with third down efficiency, 8 for 10. That's much better than what we saw last week. I think, what was it, like 1 for 10 last week? Or so it was horrible last week. So
yeah.
I'm going to go with third down efficiency, being efficient there and hitting your targets when they're open.
Yeah, I mean, keeping drives extended, that was a great thing to see. I'm also going to go with, you hit on it earlier, red zone touchdowns, 6 for 6, getting in the red zone, not just coming away with 3 points. And yeah, you could have settled for 3 points in this game. You didn't really need the points, but anytime you're going 6 for 6 in the red zone, that's a great thing to see. Hopefully you carry that over into Miami, carry it over into the playoffs. That's something that New England's kind of been hit or miss with a lot of the season. And to see 100% right there, this game is great.
Yeah. One other guy I'd say on defense, and he didn't have a lot of stats necessarily, but every time I watch Kyle Van Noy out there, he's always seems like he's doing the right thing. There was a couple times where Trevor Lawrence ran a read option and Van Noy did a great job of committing to the quarterback in a way. And as soon as he hands it off, shooting to the running back and tackling him at the line of scrimmage. Like, I saw him do that multiple times. It's impressive what he's done, and his ability to set the edge, play in coverage a little bit, rush the passer, play in the run. I think Kyle Van Noy has been tremendously improved from what he was early on in this year, and I thought he had a solid game.
Yeah, another one of those veteran linebackers that we love the presence on the field of. And he just plays hard, and he's a physical dude and sets the tone out there. So I agree. My last one, I'm going to kind of jump it into 2, but Kyle Duggar, JC Jackson, 2 interceptions. Kyle Duggar probably should have scored on his pick 6. He just put his shoulder down and run through him. He probably scores there. And JC Jackson had a tremendous catch. But, other than the Miles Bryant tip too, these were like good interceptions where Kyle Duggar sat there, read Trevor Lawrence's eyes, jumps the route, and takes it. Same with JC Jackson playing tight man coverage, a low throw. And honestly, I don't know how he saw it for an extended period of time, because it looks like he's kind of shielded by the receiver and looks down and, catches it right off the turf. And it was great. So I'm going to give those 2 guys right there. Trevor Lawrence, 17 for 27, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 23.7 QBR on the day. It's yeah, that was a good outing for the secondary right there.
I agree. I thought special teams had a couple nice plays as well. So maybe I'd throw that in there, but also they actually, well, I wouldn't say all special teams, because they also had a couple mistakes that were key. So, you want to answer these 2 questions before we get to the bad real quick?
Yes, let's do it. All right. Well, my fantasy team, yeah. So me and Cole are playing in one league together. I'm in the championship of that league, but I'm not looking too good. Let's see, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter went out early. Hunter Henry had a couple catches, so I'm probably going to lose that game. And then in my other league, I'm playing for 3rd place, and Antonio Brown was one of my receivers, so I got screwed with that one because he had his little temper tantrum. But I did have Damian Harris, a couple guys, so I'll lose that one. So I'm taking 4th in one league and 2nd in my other one, and that's how my fantasy season wraps up.
I'm in the this is my I have such a hard time focusing on more than one league. So this is my main league that I focus on with a bunch of buddies of mine. I am in the Super Bowl or the fantasy championship, whatever you want to call it, but it's not looking good. I'm projected to lose by 14 right now. I have Aaron Rodgers, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson left, and he has Najee Harris and Greg Joseph. Dawson Knox had 0 points for me today, so that really killed me. I also started T. Higgins based off his performance. I mean, he's been balling. He had 44 points last week, so I started him over Keenan Allen. It was like a last-second decision. Keenan Allen had 14.5. T. Higgins only had 9. CeeDee Lamb only had 8 for me, so Dalvin Cook only has 4. My team just kind of choked in the in this final spot, and if I could have made a couple different starts, maybe I would have had a little better chance. But unless Dalvin Cook and the Vikings start coming back, and maybe Rodgers gets another touchdown or 2, it's probably 2nd place for me as well.
For sure. And then last one right here by Joey. What do we need to do to beat Miami? Red zone, defense, Mac Jones just not making any mistakes. What are 2 of your keys to that game?
We'll obviously break it down more in depth in the pregame or the pregame episode Wednesday. But to be quick about it, I'd say win the turnover battle, kind of an obvious one. And Miami's offense is Jalen Waddle or bust. They want to get the ball out like that, and it's added to his hands immediately. That's what we struggled with last time was they were running the offense and getting the ball out to his hands extremely quickly and getting it to their playmakers. So I'd say tackling and limiting the short throws and yards after catch is going to be huge, along with winning the turnover battle, just taking care of the football and taking what's there. I mean, Miami's defense is good, but there's opportunities there once in a while, whether it's within the run game or the pass game. Their passing defense hasn't been as dominant as it's been in the past. They still make a bunch of really big plays, and they're tough on third down and all that stuff. But overall, just take care of the football and good tackling, limit the yards after the catch, and try to keep everything in front of you and not let these guys beat you death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's what they want to do, and then they take a big shot once in a while, and if you just gotta hope they don't make the big play and limit what they want to do, because what they want to do is keep the ball within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage and not let Tua ruin the game for them.
Yeah, when you look at the game week 1, we were 11 for 16 on third downs. We had 36 minute time of possession compared to their 23. We had 268 passing. Tua only had 185. We rushed for 125. They rushed for 74. Really, we dominated that game. What killed us is the turnovers, the fumble at the end, obviously, and there was another one. So we lost a turnover battle 2-1, and
Penalties
then the red zone. Penalties. We were 8 for 84 on penalties. They were 5 for 28, and then we were 1 for 4 in the red zone. So for me, my two keys are turnovers, taking care of the football, and red zone. Scoring in the red zone. You don't have to be 100% like you were today, but you got to be up around 50, 60%. And I think that we're playing a lot better football than what we were. And Miami doesn't really have anything to play for except to sweep New England. And sometimes that does mean a lot in the AFC East, especially when Brian Flores is your coach. You're coming from New England. There's a lot of other guys like they're still going to be up for this game. So for me, it's going to be turnovers, winning the turnover margin, and then scoring touchdowns in the red zone.
I will say they're not going to be as amped up as they would have been if they won, obviously, today and had a chance to make the playoffs. But I don't think you're going to see this team fall flat like some other teams would the week after they're missing the playoffs. I think Brian Flores led team in division game. Both teams don't like each other. That's just how division games are. Both teams want to win. We want to secure the 5 seed. They want to just beat us twice in the year and try to ruin our playoff chances and give us a worse matchup. So that's what division teams want to do. They always battle hard. It's always a close game, and every point's going to matter. So scoring when you get in the red zone is going to be huge. Not getting field goals, and red zone defense is going to be huge. Limiting them to field goals and scoring touchdowns when you get the opportunity. So it's going to be a dogfight. It always is in the division, especially up in Miami. It's going to be at their home place. They don't want to lose the last game of the year. They want to sweep us and get good momentum heading into the offseason into next year. So they want to prove they can play with anybody in the AFC East, and that's where they're going to come out and try to do this weekend.
For sure. LJ, A-Rod finna lead me to my fantasy championship. Good. Go get yours. I hope you win it. I hope everyone in here wins their championship unless you're playing against one of us. And then
exactly. Exactly.
There you go. Let's jump into our bad. Probably not a lot here, and a lot of this might be nitpicking, but do you have one?
I would just say kind of what we talked about a little bit. We didn't do a great job limiting the big play opportunities that they had. Obviously, we capitalized a little bit on some of the turnover opportunities we had, but we kind of let them throw up a couple balls in double coverage. That shouldn't get caught over 2 defenders ever. It's not like it's Devontae Adams or Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins. It's none of those guys out there. It's some Jags wide receivers who aren't that special. You know what I mean? So I think limiting the big plays was one thing we struggled with a little bit today. We let Trevor Lawrence escape the pocket a couple times with his legs. Oh, one thing I did want to mention before I forgot was Mac Jones has been using his legs a little bit more, and we kind of see that this kid's not just a pocket passer. I mean, he is a pocket passer, but he can also move, make throws on the run, escape the pocket. I mean, it doesn't look great for him when he covers the ball up with 2 hands like that for 5 seconds while he's running with the ball. That doesn't look like the most athletic player, but he is athletic. He can move around with his legs, make plays, throw on the run, all that stuff. But I just wanted to say that before because I almost forgot it already and I was going to forget it. So, but on the bad, though, I would say containing the big plays, we struggled a little bit with that today, but not too much.
Yeah, for me, it's really only the blocked PAT, and then I couldn't see it. I had it on my phone, and I looked down. Did we miss the other one, or was it a bad snap? Because we missed one. One got blocked, and then the second one was what?
was Jake Bailey bobbled the ball. It went on the ground. He grabbed it and tried to run with it, and then he just like threw it out of bounds. Like I don't really know what happened. It was very odd.
Yeah, and I mean those 2 points right there don't mean anything, and this is totally nitpicky, but I for me it just kind of shows a lack of focus right there, right? You're up so much, just get out there, kick the field goal. It's something you do every day. Just a little bit lack of focus, and I guarantee you, Bill Belichick's going to be talking about those plays right there. Like that's what makes Bill and the Patriots organization different. Is that those 2 plays are probably going to be the key focus of practice, and whether they're going to run or pay for them or something like that's going to be something that this Patriots team is going to hear about this week. So it seems simple in the long scheme of things when you win 50-10, like what's 52-10 mean? It really doesn't mean anything else, but it's just a lack of focus and the little things that the Patriots want to execute.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really the only other thing you can necessarily mention. I guess you could say run defense was but it was also, I don't think they cared. I don't think they cared about them running the football. They were up so much the whole game. They were like, okay, run for 5 yards a carry. You're going to take 20 minutes to get down the field. And I don't think they're going to have the patience to do that. So I thought we did a good job for the most part. It's nitpicky. I'd say maybe run defense. Overall, there's not much else. We made some mistakes on special teams and allowed some big plays, but for the most part, you did a pretty good job. You contained the little offense that the Jaguars do have, and offensively, we dominated their defense. So I don't really have any other big ones. Even those 2 first ones are a little bit nitpicky. It's hard when you're winning 40 points, 50-10 in the NFL. It's hard to find too many bads. I'll say Brian Hoyer without N'Keal Harry is not the same player. That's what I'll say. Without throwing it up to N'Keal, Brian Hoyer is not the same player.
Maybe that's what N'Keal needs to break out is Brian Hoyer at quarterback for the whole time.
His numbers would be insane because Brian Hoyer tries to throw it to him every play. Just deep balls to N'Keal Harry. That's Brian Hoyer's MO when
he check. Hey, fade, go.
Yes, exactly.
Throw it up to him
every single time. Let's see. Anyone else from the Philippines?
Oh, that's tough.
And enemy territory.
Wait, I have a question for Joey. I asked this since you're from the South. If Atlanta would have beat Buffalo today, given us the AFC East, in lock, if we would have beat Miami, would you have given up 28-3 jokes for Falcons fans? Cole said no. It would be hard for me. It would be hard for me, but it would be nice to give Bills fans crap. Oh, you beat us and then lost to Atlanta, who we shut out. But would you do that trade? If Atlanta would have beat Buffalo today, would you have given up all 28-3 jokes for Falcons fans? That's something that I was curious about.
Patriots fan in Titan/Carolina territory. Yeah, it's crazy how worldwide Patriots fans are. I mean, they're all over the place. It's good though. I'm sure it's tough though because in every other state, if you are a Patriots fan in a state of any other team, every fan base hates the Patriots, and I don't think you really see many fan bases that are like, oh, go Pats. I'm okay with them winning another Super Bowl or you know what I mean?
Yeah, they just think you're a bandwagon and a cheater if you're a Patriots fan. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah, I'm from Broncos and Raiders country, so I get the tuck roll and then all the stuff with Manning and back in those days, and that's occasionally a 49ers fan leaks through to Utah from California, but not many Chargers fans are up here.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, I feel like there's not a lot of Chargers fans on the planet, which is weird. Just none of them show up to their games for some reason. I think the Chargers is a good team to be able to support. I mean, they got cool uniforms, cool stadium. They got the young quarterback talent. I guess you choose your fandom when you're young and you got to stick with it. So N'Keal is Brian Hoyer's safety blanket, but also in his infinity gauntlet. I would have to agree. That is Brian Hoyer. Just when N'Keal's out there, that's his guy. That's who he's going to. He doesn't care. He's just throwing it up to him, letting him make a play. And that's when N'Keal really truly becomes the animal, is only when Brian Hoyer's on the field with him.
That's when he gets his dog mentality. He's like, oh, Hoyer's out. Here we go.
Exactly.
So,
that's
Joey says no. Yeah, I agree. If you're in Falcons territory, that would be a lot different. I don't get many Falcons fans up here. So when I'm saying the joke, it's, not really relevant to anyone I'm saying it to. It's just more of a bragging right. So I agree. Joey says Buffalo fans are down here are the worst, though. I agree. I have for the football team that I'm involved with up at the university, our head strength coach is from Buffalo. Big old dude, played at Monmouth University, and that's all I hear about. So I had to razz him when we only threw it 3 times and beat them. So I think Buffalo fans are bad anywhere. It's not just down south. It's anywhere.
It's all
Buffalo fans are bad.
Yeah, it's not just in one spot. Buffalo fans just suck in general. They're just annoying. This is a great point. I hope Slater and McCourty come back just to play in the red jerseys again one last time. If that's not a reason, then I don't know what is. I mean, what other reason is better than playing in those red jerseys again? They're the top alternate jerseys in the NFL. You got to bring back those throwbacks and play in those again. That's a great reason right there. I would have to agree with that one.
Yeah. That's going to be exciting next year, seeing that. So Gabe, other NFL fans aren't too bad once they realize I'm not a casual Patriots fan who can't get past a surface level football conversation. Once they realize I'm level headed and know what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a problem. You get in arguments with a lot of these people and they think that you're just like the most basic person. You don't watch any snaps of the Patriots games. You just like them because they won. And it's like, no, we actually don't. We have reasons to like them, and we know about the game and know about the team, and we follow them and stuff. So yeah, I agree. That's always funny to fire back at someone and, in an argument, and they're like, oh, you actually know? Like, yeah, I freaking know. So yeah.
The only thing is, like, I do that once in a while just because, but it's also like, I don't want to spend the 20 minutes it takes to have this person understand that I'm knowledgeable about football. Like, I don't care what this person's opinion is. So it's like, I don't want to spend 20 minutes of my life explaining to this person, going back and forth and proving to them that I know, know something about football. It's a waste of time to me. So a lot of the fans are just annoying to me from other fan bases because they just like to talk shit and have no surface or no facts behind it. And it's like, it's a waste of my time because I can lay out all these facts and they're just going to say, oh, well, you guys suck. It's like, okay. Like whatever. Like you can't argue with some of these people. Some of the fan bases are the worst. I'd say Buffalo and the Cowboys are I've never had more people talk trash after a game than the Cowboys fans. They were awful, and it was just for no reason.
That's
just
all.
Talking crap. They're just they're the worst fans in the NFL. Cowboys fans. Bills are not far behind them, but Cowboys fans are the worst.
Cowboys fans are horrible. They really can get on people's nerves because every year they think that they're going to the Super Bowl, and then when it doesn't happen, they always have some sort of an excuse. So it sucks, but let's see a couple more here. Boston, Gabe says hopefully they don't get ruined by cheap ass navy pants. I agree. They need to have white pants.
Yes.
I was trying to pull one up.
Full throwbacks.
This photo right here is clean, and I don't know who did this. Let's see, 617 Swaps.
Yep,
he's on Twitter. I've never seen this before, but I just pulled it up because I wanted to see. This is clean. In the red with the white. Judon in the red sleeves, you'll get the white helmet. Jerseys. That's clean right there. That is something that I want to see too. I agree. No navy pants. You got to keep it white on there and make it look good. Yeah. So, and then one other thing, Boston headline. Did you see this at the Washington football game? The railing.
I did. There was a Washington football fan page that was posted on a story. Like, our whole organization is an embarrassment because it's like they choked the football game to a division team, and then the railing just goes. Crashing down.
Here it is for those of you that aren't or haven't seen it. So Jalen Hurts is walking out. Watch the fans in the left corner right here. And Jalen Hurts does a good job. Props to him. He helps them up. So watch these fans right here leaning over on the left. Yeah. Watch them just ready. Oh, like, dude, there's like 7 of them. And look, Jalen Hurts just helping them up. He asks a couple of them, are they okay? And then he stays there and takes
pictures. Gives him a glove, I think. So, takes pictures.
Look at him laughing. He's like, what the heck just happened?
Did that really just happen? Yeah.
People taking pictures. Like, yeah, props to him. But yeah, that's a good representation of the Washington football team right now.
Absolutely. That's tough for them. It's been an up and down season for them. They went on a little streak and they've been struggling a little bit lately. But that is true. Gabe's comment here and Joey as well. Not as many nowadays, but there's a lot of bandwagon Patriots fans. Thankfully, most went to Tampa. That is one thing that's what's frustrating about being a Patriots fan is everybody assumes that you're a Patriots fan because of their success. But it's like, for me personally, I was born in New England. They're the closest team to home, and that's what I've rooted for my whole life since I was a kid. So for me, it was just the local team, and that's what I support. All New England teams, Boston, New England, whatever. But there are a lot of bandwagon fans. That's just the NFL. A lot of fans are just crappy fans and want to follow the good teams. But I hope they all went down to Tampa because I don't want any bandwagon fans here. I want true fans who are actually passionate about their team and want them to win for the right reasons.
Yeah, we want this to be a good fan base and not like the Cowboys and
Yes,
You know, they disappear for 20 years because they've been irrelevant, and now all of a sudden they're back. So
yeah,
don't do that. Stay truthful. But no, that's it for me. Unless you got anything, we'll be back on Wednesday for the Dolphins pregame episode, last regular season game. Playoffs already locked up, so we'll have a playoff show whenever it gets announced what seed we get, who we're playing, and what time the game's at. But that's it for today. We'll see you Wednesday. You got anything?
Yeah, just last thing I got is the injured real quick. Is Damian Harris early in the game went out with hamstring injury. He missed the rest of the game. Hopefully it's something minor and just precautionary with them knowing they were going to win this game and be as dominant as they were. But that is scary. I mean, Damian Harris is such a big part of this offense. We saw when he was out the impact it had. When it's just Ramondre and Brandon Bolden. Ramondre is great. Bolden's been great this year, but that's not the 1-2 punch you want at your running back position. You want 3 solid backs that can all do different things. And I think having a back like Ramondre who can take some of the load off of Damian Harris is good for his hamstring. And that's what's tough about, if we were the 1 seed, we would have had a bye week and an extra week for Damian Harris to heal up and all that stuff. But we're kind of in the situation we are now. And Damian Harris is dealing with a hamstring injury. Hopefully it doesn't linger too much. Hopefully it was precautionary. And then Adrian Phillips also wrist injury he was dealing with. He was out the rest of the game, but I think that's also precautionary.
Yeah, and with the Damian Harris injury, Miami's 7th in the league in rushing yards per game, just over 100 yards at 102. So, yeah, you want to have both those guys healthy. You want to have them rotating and staying fresh for next week's game. So, yeah, I agree. Hopefully he can get back, and it was just precautionary, but we'll, continue to check our pages on Instagram, mine and Cole's right here. Stories, posts, we'll keep you updated. Cole's probably better at doing injury reports than me right now, but make sure you follow him. Make sure you follow me for clips of the podcast, score updates, signings. Everything's going to be on both mine and Cole's page, so make sure you follow both of us, and you can follow it when we're not live.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me as well. Follow both our Instagrams. Also follow the YouTube channel if you don't already. We're at 97 subscribers, so we're closing in on 100. So if you're not already, hit subscribe and get us to that 100 mark. We wanted to hit it by the end of the year, but beginning of the year is not too bad either. We're close. So hit subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, all that good stuff, and we will see you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.